Sahana bhavatu sahanau bhunaktu sahaviryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavitvaram Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Krupatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. We are seeing the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and we finished shlokas 29, 30, and 31. And in these last 3 shlokas that we saw, Bhagavan Krishna enumerates or expounds upon the Vedic aphorism that thou art, known as Tattvam Asi. Tattvam Asi is not a Vedic aphorism for japam, for repeating. This aphorism is to resolve our identity. And our identity is that we are absolute, supreme, and we are nothing less than absolute. So, to resolve this, we have to enter the seat of meditation. Meditation is a must. Knowledge that I am that is not enough. Because I have just mentioned it, you have heard it, and you have heard this so many times. We have all heard this so many times. But hearing it does not result in ownership of our identity as that absolute. So the culmination of meditation is what Bhagavan Krishna describes in shlokas 29, 30, and 31. This is the goal of meditation. That is what is indirectly indicated via these 3 shlokas. Our identity is resolved, and that's what meditation does. If our identity is not resolved, that means we need to continue meditation, or we have to improve our understanding of what we are meditating upon. And again, that will take us to Shravanam, listening to scriptures. Mananam, removing all the doubts. And Nididhyasan is the removal of ill tendencies which we have acquired through innumerable past births. This is how we improve our meditation, by the Vedantic prakriya of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasan. Listening to the scriptures. And again, reading doesn't help. In the initial stages, yes, we require reading. Listening to virtual talks on YouTube and gathering information, that also brings about certain limitations. Our scriptures say a live guru is required, a live teacher from whom we listen. For in the presence of a teacher in Shravanam, certain amount of energy is transmitted, which brings upon us the upliftment and inspiration of our mind. That is what happens. When we see a live teacher, that's why even now, we cannot wait till, we are done with all these COVID things and e-balvihars and Zoom classes. We need to meet in person. It's very important because when we meet in person, there is a synergy that exists in a group dynamics. So in olden days, people left the comfort of their home and went in search of a teacher. They arrived in Himalayas, they stayed with the teacher, and they learned. And it was a life transformation. That is what we call Shravanam. And upon listening to scriptures properly and removing doubts by reflecting upon them, Mananam, a person takes on a journey of Nididhyasan. And Nididhyasan is self-exploration in order to make one's self better. Self-exploration via examination. If we are engaging in a particular behavior, we recognize it and we terminate it. If it is inappropriate for my own spiritual well-being, the language we improve, our interaction we improve, our habits we improve, our dainik charya, our ways in which we unfold a day, we improve that. All these things go into Nididhyasan. And we remove these subtle tendencies. And we prepare ourselves for meditation. And that is when we see 29, Sarva Bhutastamatmanam, Sarva Bhutani Chatmani, that self in that same self, Sarva Bhutastamatmanam, in all beings we see the presence of the self. And we see all beings resting in this divinity. We see a divine aura of beings. Ikshate yoga yuktatma. And this is seen, meaning experienced by a person who has taken on to this path of meditation. Yomam pashyati sarvatra, sarvam cha mai pashyati. Now, the first one was beings. Now, the one who sees me everywhere, in both the animate and inanimate objects. And sarvam cha mai pashyati. And all that exists is seen in me and me alone. Such a person realizes I am that immutable, absolute being who never perishes. Because having identified with this body, we feel that, oh, I'm getting old, and then one day I will pass on. There is a fear of death, and that is removed. Tasya aham na pranashyami. I will never cease to be. For him, sachame na pranashyati. Bhagavan says, such a person experiences eternality while living. And it is not just an experience, they realize that I am the ever eternal being. This is realized in meditation. And then 31, Sarva Bhuta Sthitam Yomam Bhajate Bhajatyekatvamasthitaha. That one and one alone is seen. So duality is reduced. Duality is removed. There is no duality when we come to the 31st shloka. And this is the culmination of meditation when one transcends multiplicity, when one transcends duality. Living in a dualistic world, living in the world of multiplicity, they see one and only one self. This is the culmination of meditation, which is what we saw last week. Tomorrow is Shivaratri. Lord Shiva is always in union with his own self. He is the very murti of meditation. His form is synonymous to meditation. If anybody mentions meditation, the first form that comes to mind is Lord Shiva seated on Kailasha. We seek the blessings of Bhagavan Shivji to usher us onto this path of meditation. Now we continue today, shloka number 32. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham vayadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Atmaupamyena sarvatra samam pashyati Arjuna sukham vayadi va dukkham sayogi paramo mataha. Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, Bhagavan says, yaha sukham va yadi va dukkham sarvatra atmaupamyena samam pashyati. Arjuna, whether in joy, sukham, yadiva dukkham, or in sorrow, sarvatra, everywhere, in all places, in all times. Atma, atmaupamyena, atma, upamyena, like the Atma, like the self, in comparison to the self, the one who sees samam pashyati, the one who sees this oneself everywhere, in all places, in all times, regardless of the condition of the mind. This is very important. Sukham yadiva dukkham. Because we each have a very unique mind. And this mind is smitten with myriad ranges of colors. Even after acquiring knowledge, that mind behaves in a unique way. And the behavior of the mind is enough to push us into various moods of our mind, such as joy and sorrow. But the man of wisdom, the man of self-realization, regardless of the condition of the mind, which brings about joys or sorrows, the one yogi realizes that the mind is going to be mind, and they rise above it. And if that mind behaves in a certain way, the person, the yogi, out of yogic practices, has conquered the mind and allows the mind to stay in the condition that the mind is in, but then the buddhi sees Atma. Because he or she has trained the buddhi to go beyond the mind, beyond the conditions of the mind. And that person who abides in this self and goes beyond the mind, Bhagavan says, so yogi paramo mataha, is exalted. See, certain amount of our behavior we will be able to conquer. Certain amount of tendencies we will be able to conquer. But there are deep-rooted tendencies which takes the mind on a sinusoidal ride. Those will remain in the background. That's why we see even rishis, like Vishwamitra Rishi is there, Durvasa Rishi is there. Imagine Durvasa Rishi, the one who is a great, great worshipper of the Divine Mother, who has all types of powers. But one little outburst of anger, oh ho ho ho. That's why his name is Durvasa. People used to fear him. And he used to be a great, great guru of Vedanta. He had disciples. So we cannot say that there is something wrong with the realization of Durvasa Rishi. Absolutely not. Realize. But that mind is going to have its tendencies. And he uses that anger to teach. And out of that behavior of the disciples, he may get angry and he may get elated. When he gets elated, he blesses them. So, this shloka is a very unique shloka. It says that if you're looking at meditation for a complete transformation, it's not going to be there. We will transform, no doubt about it. 99% transformation will be there, but there will be some amount of uniqueness. You imagine our own Guru Parampara, the uniqueness of Swami Tapovanam, who quietly sat for 30 years in Uttarkashi. And you imagine Swami Chinmayanandji, who 43 years ran around the whole globe. You imagine, both realized souls. Gurudev had that personality, that desire to preach and to bring about Renaissance. Tapovanji Maharaj, you couldn't make him do anything. 18 hours lost in Shuddha Sattva. Gurudev writing letters, giving pravachans, bhikshas, inspiring people to work, projects. Oh ho ho ho. What all things Gurudev did. You see the uniqueness of the mind. You couldn't make Tapovanji Maharaj do what Swami Chinmayanandji did. And you cannot make Chinmayanandji do what Tapovanji Maharaj did. Tapovanji Maharaj tried. He said, Chinmaya, why are you going? Why can't you just sit over here? But Gurudev was Gurudev. That is what this shloka is saying, that there will be uniqueness. Sukham va yadiva dukkham, but atmopamyena sarvatra, yomam pashyati sarvatra. Samam pashyati. Arjuna, regardless of the individual characteristics of the mind which may bring joy and sorrow, above all, buddhi is rooted in wisdom. Buddhi is rooted in the realization of the self. Atmaupamyena. And sarvatra, everywhere where they go, this buddhi sees. Bhagavan says, such a person is a yogi. So this last shloka in the central theme of meditation, Bhagavan beautifully describes that meditation brings about the transformation of the intellect to see, utilizing the third eye of Samabuddhi. The two eyes will see differences, but the third eye of knowledge will integrate everything. And it is the buddhi which is awakened into the third eye. And the fleshy dual eyes will see the duality. And upon seeing duality, that mind may be thrusted here and there, joy and sorrow, but the person will not pay heed to it. For that mind will be a product of the dualistic world of plurality. So this is the last shloka in the vision of meditation. We now continue with the change of topic. And the change of topic, now Bhagavan, over here we see Arjuna is asking a question. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogastvaya proktaha samyena madhusudana etasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvat sthitim sthiram. Arjuna gave his undivided attention to Bhagavan Krishna, to this topic of meditation. This topic of meditation is a very important topic and also a topic of interest for a lot of people. A lot of people are interested in it. Even the ones who do not want to meditate want to know what meditation is. That much interest the topic of meditation has. So Arjuna was really intrigued. What does this thing do? In fact, so many people have read this book called Autobiography of a Yogi. And this book, Paramahamsa Yogananda, and he talks about all types of occult practices, which has resulted in so many different types of siddhis. That is what actually people want to acquire through meditation. But it's not that easy. Siddhis are not going to come about just like that. Mother Prakriti holds those siddhis for her best devotee. Our Mother Sita, Ashta Siddhi Nava Nidhike Data, Sabaradina Janaki Mata. Mother Sita left these siddhis only for Hanumanji, because she knew Hanumanji is a devotee of Lord Rama. He's not going to exploit any one of these siddhis. He would not use them. So those who have desire to acquire, it's not going to happen. But that's how they come to this topic of meditation. That's why they want to explore meditation. But in Vedanta, meditation is to integrate our personality so that we find ourselves fit for knowledge to be assimilated into our life. So now Arjuna has heard with great attention meditation. And now he has this question. He says, "O Bhagavan," he says, "Hey Madhusudana, O Lord, the one who has killed the demon Madhu." Madhu and Kaitab are the two demons who are came from, as it is said, the ears of Bhagavan Vishnu. And this Madhu and Kaitab, Madhu is when we hear something sweet, and Kaitab is we hear something bitter. And whether we hear something bitter or we hear something sweet, it's always a cause to stir our ego. And that's what Madhu and Kaitab do. They are the catalyst which stirs our ego. And Madhu especially, when somebody speaks good about us, our ego just inflates and says, I am something. So now Bhagavan is, over here, Arjuna is using this word for Bhagavan. That, hey, Madhusudana, O Lord, you, the Lord, who has destroyed this tendency to become big out of somebody's praise, meaning there's complete death of ego. O Bhagavan Madhusudana, this has resulted in Bhagavan Krishna's Yogeshwarhood, complete cessation of ego, and he's risen to a Purna Purushottama avatar. So he's saying, Bhagavan, Tvaya Samyena Yaha Ayam Yogaha Proktaha. Oh Lord, you spoke of this yoga of meditation very beautifully. And you covered almost all topics with regards to meditation. But I have one doubt, one topic that I feel has not been addressed is, Bhagavan, that he's saying, etasya sthiram sthitim chanchalatvat ayam aham na pashyami. Bhagavan, you spoke very well, but because of this condition of my mind, chanchalatva, this mind which is very fickle, and sthitim sthiram, this situation which is created in my mind, this continuous movement of my mind, the trembling of the mind which is yo-yoing within. Because of that, I'm not able to pursue what you have asked. Meditation is difficult. So Arjuna asks this question. And then he continues. The next shloka is further, he elaborates upon this particular topic which he has said. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Chanchalam himana Krishna pramathi balavadrudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Bhagavan, chanchalam himana, this mind is so fickle, O Lord. Chanchala, it is extremely fickle. Pramathi balavadrudam. Pramathi, it is engaging in erroneous behavior. And see, we commit errors. We make mistakes. And God knows how many mistakes, the same mistakes we have made time and again. Because the mind is preoccupied and we make a mistake. And we tell ourselves, oh, I'm not going to do this again. And again we do it. The most common mistake, people put rice inside the cooker. The dabba is there, forgot to put water. And then realize, array, why is this burning smell there? And this whistle is not going on. What's going on? And then realize, array, I forgot to put water. Now, this putting of this pressure cooker is everyday job. And yet some days it is forgotten. This is considered to be pramathi. Pramathi balavadrudam. This mind engages in erroneous behavior again and again. And it is not because it does not know, but chanchalatva, because it is incredibly fickle. And the fickleness of the mind is it jumps from topic to topic to topic to topic. And in jumping from various desires, various ideas, various thoughts in our mind, we lose our own coordinates of where we are. Our latitude, longitude, and time, our coordinates, we forget. We may be in our home, in our city, in US, but we find often ourselves to be in our hometown in India, or if a trip is coming up, we are imagining, oh, I will go over there and do this. This is a place I have to go. Oh, I have to go and visit this person. Oh, I have not seen this friend in 30 years. It just out of the blue, the mind just takes off. And the trip may not be down until the summer. June, July is way out there. And yet it goes. This is called chanchalatva. That mind is continuously moving from thought to thought to thought. And what happens is we lose our coordinates of where we are. So Arjuna is describing the state of affairs of our mind. So chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavadrudam. This pramati, this mind is, it makes errors. Balavadrudam. And at times, the strength of this mind, I tell my mind, please don't think about this. Please drop this thought. But the mind does not want to drop that thought. That's called balavat. Drudam. We may even put up a fight with this mind and we tell, I am going to deprive you of a movie you want to go see if you don't drop this. Oh, ho, ho. Drudam, even with greater force, it's only going to think about that. So, tasya nigraham aham vayorivasu dushkaram manye. The Bhagavan, the control of this mind, to control the movement of this mind and the thought patterns of this mind, it's easy to control wind than to control mind. At least with wind, I can put a windmill and create some energy. But with this mind, અંધારી ઓરડીમાં ફૂકો મારવાની. In a dark room, we are trying to blow at a candle which is already blown out. But meaning worthless karma. A karma which will not give fruit to anything. And yet, this mind will just keep on doing it. We don't know why. This is the power of the human mind. When we have harnessed the energy of this mind, it's fantastic. But when it decides to do something, Even sometimes we see in these funny videos, we wonder, what was that person thinking? What were you thinking? But they do that. So, Bhagavan tasya nigraham, the control of the mind, necessary, required control of this mind to even enter the seat of meditation. Bhagavan, it is very difficult. Tasya nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Bhagavan is saying it is very difficult. Continuing, Bhagavan now gives answer. So this is where I was saying there's a little change of what that in the topic of meditation. So Bhagavan answers. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha gruhyate. So Bhagavan says, yes, Arjuna, Bhagavan is saying, indeed, asamshayam mahabaho, oh mighty armed Arjuna, undoubtedly you have zeroed in on the very state of affairs of the human mind. Indeed, you are correct. Manaha durnigraham chalam. Arjuna uses the word chanchalam. Bhagavan uses chalam. Bhagavan says, Arjuna, don't be superfluous with your language. Yes, it is difficult, but don't exaggerate. Don't exaggerate. It is difficult. And you're going to have to deal with it, that's all. Only by practice, you will be able to conquer your mind. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, by practice, by continuous, repeated practice, you will be able to curtail the movements of the mind. Science tells us that if we repeat a particular action 12 times, it's enough to form a habit. For example, they've done studies and all that with adolescents, that why do kids do drugs? How does a drug habit form? How does a smoking habit form? These topics are of interest because I deal with kids all the time. So sometimes I wonder, I said, such a good kid, such a smart person coming from amazing parents, family. What happened over here? I see Balvihar kids all the time. Last 26 years I've been working with kids. So this subject is of interest to me. Then why do kids do these things? How do they form this habit? They go on campus, such a great kid, and all of a sudden in college, God knows what happened. So anyway, so what research, what science shows is, if, let's say, for example, smoking. Most people who are smokers, they didn't become smokers in their 20s and 30s. Most people who are smokers, They picked up this habit when they were young. Somebody just doesn't wake up at the age of 36 and I'm going to start smoking today. It doesn't happen like that. So during youth and this adolescent mind, the mind already is fearless. They want to do anything and everything, especially if it is said, don't do this. That means first they are going to do it. So imagine an adolescent. And they are in a peer group of some 6 boys. And they all take their bicycle out of their neighborhood. They all go riding and arrive in this one field. Nobody is there. And it's just these 6 buddies. And they dare each other. Hey, I got a pack of camels. Try it. Now, when they first see the cigarette, that 13, 14-year-old has not even, they see it. But then there is this mind which wants to prove that, hey, I'm something in front of me, peer pressure. And that boy tries it. And he huffs and puffs and chokes and everything. And the other one tries. Now imagine they do this for 12 times. It is enough to form a habit. And so it starts very slowly, or 1 or 2 a day. And one fine day, it will be 1 or 2 packs a day, you know. Why am I going into this? Because we are discussing the behavior of this mind. If a particular action is done for 12 times, science says it is strong enough to create a behavior. And you repeat this over and over and over and over again, imagine how strong that tendency will become. Now we are packets of all types of tendencies from innumerable past births. And we want to erase it all to meditate. We have not engaged in that thought pattern once or for 12 times, 12,000 times. So it's not going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. But we cannot give up. If we lovingly work with our mind, it is very beautiful. It can heal itself. It can come out of the most detrimental habits that it has gotten itself into. That is what Bhagavan is saying. Yes, Bhagavan uses very simple language. He says, Durnigraha. And Arjuna is just superfluous language is used like a wind. It is so difficult to control. You can Bhagavan saying, don't get out of control. It is difficult. If you say that, oh, it is so difficult, then you are convincing your mind that it is difficult. Instead, we have to tell our mind, let's go on this beautiful journey of life. It will be little challenging, but it can be reached. Let's do it. When we work with our mind, with love and attention, our mind responds. We have to engage in a dialogue, a healthy dialogue. And that healthy dialogue is what Bhagavan says, abhyas. It is not just practice. This Winter Olympics just got over. And this boy, Nathan, he got a gold medal in figure skating. And I was just watching he's just a young boy of some 21, 22 years old. And he started skating at a very young age. And they were showing his progress. He does 4 flips on razor thin edge skate on ice. And he lands. And the 4, it's called quad. And he's called the quad king because he can do 4 flips in the air and land without falling. Now, I watched his interview and he said, I tried. I used to fall down. And then he mentioned one statement. He said, once I fell down and I felt so bad, I came home and I had a dialogue with myself. I'm not going to give up. I told my mind, I'm not going to give up. In fact, I'm going to prove that I'm going to be the best. And next day, he woke up his mom at 4 o'clock and he says, I need to go to the skating rink. I have to start my practice at 5. This is called a healthy dialogue. This is what is meant by abhyas. Abhyas is when we prove to ourselves that we are worthy of our own self-evolution. This is called practice. Because the practice in Bhagavad Gita is very different compared to a practice homework given in a Kumon class for mathematics. Kumon practice is very different than abhyas. Abhyas comes with a mental fortitude to pick up the mind. And we have to cultivate that. Because if we do not pick up ourselves, and if we don't engage in a conversation with this mind ourselves, who else will do it? Krishna is there on the chariot telling Arjuna. Krishna certainly cannot enter the mind of Arjuna and spank it and said, come on, let's go. But Krishna cannot do that. Where Lord Krishna ends, his influence is at words. That's all. Arjuna has to take those words, internalize them, own them up, and request his mind to go on a journey. That is abhyas. Sometimes abhyas comes as prayers. Sometimes abhyas comes as blessings. A blessing of a guru, a blessing of Bhagavan can remove so many practices. You look at Eklavya and you look at Arjuna. One made a statue of Dronacharya and one got Dronacharya. The one who made a statue of Dronacharya believed in the statue guru and himself, and with practice he became great. And the one with the real Dronacharya, Arjuna, he became great. But you know what the guru did? He asked Eklavya for the thumb. It made look so mean, but it opened up the doors of blessings for Arjuna. Because in the forest, if Duryodhan found out and befriended Eklavya, Arjuna would not stand a chance. His guru put an end to that. We don't know how the world and the universe works, but there has to be an element of trust and faith in ourselves, in what the scripture is saying, and our ability to work with ourselves. I have seen abhyas come as blessings. Shankaracharya ji's disciple, Totakacharya ji, bears that. He couldn't even chant, but his Totaka Bhasha became a meter in Sanskrit Bhasha. So we should never give up on ourselves. No matter how hard, how difficult, the more difficult it gets, resort to prayers because it works. I will end over here. We will continue this next week. A very happy Shivaratri. May Bhagavan Shivji give us the blessings to conquer our mind. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.